Welcome to Processing Purpose, a business and lifestyle podcast committed to having honest conversations about the stuff in our lives that is often suppressed, ignored, or overlooked. We are two brothers from very different backgrounds, but with one common goal. From entrepreneurship to relationships, from hobbies to house projects, nothing is off limits as we process becoming the best version of ourselves in business and life. And we're back.
We're back. We're here. We're upright. We're walking, setting our expectations low in the morning. The rest of the day goes pretty good, right?
Sure. I don't know why you set your expectations low in the morning.
Well, I mean, just in terms of, a lot of people will ask how I'm doing, and that's my response. My loaded response anyway is, well, upright and walking, right?
A little tongue in cheek.
Yeah, a little tongue in cheek, but at the same time, there's some truth to that, right? Like, I think our baseline of joy should be whether or not we're breathing and we're experiencing life, right? We pick everything apart. I do. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I pick everything apart. In fact, we're going to talk about that today a little bit. But no, I think just checking in and realizing, hey, I'm grateful just to be alive. Like I think that's actually, yeah, it's sarcastic, but I'm a little bit serious too.
Yeah. Yeah. Our topic today, I'm actually a little nervous about, to be honest. I say that because most of the topics that we talk about, at least so far, what is this? This has got to be episode 20, low 20s.
Or maybe things we do well at.
Yeah, it's things that's like, I've got a thesis.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of have an operating behavior. I've got a little bit maybe to contribute. I've kind of learned some things. And today is very much, this one's in process.
Yeah.
For me.
Yep.
And so I'm a little nervous. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't really know what I'm going to say.
Which is so ironic because it's core to our title. It's core to why we even started this thing.
Agreed.
To begin with. And then really like why, and I'm the same way, but why do we get nervous about vulnerability? Why do we get nervous about just realizing like, all right, I got to admit to the world that I might not be as proficient as I thought I was in this lane. And we all are that way in some ways, right? You know?
Yeah, I don't think it's, maybe it is. Maybe it's a pride thing. Maybe it's like, I want to be seen as an authority in everything, even though I know that's not realistic. But for me, I don't want to embarrass myself, I think, or say something that it's like, you look back on and you're like, well, that was dumb.
But what's so ironic though is anytime one of our mentors in life is vulnerable and opens up, we're always like, I got more out of that than I got out of anything else, right? I was like, I resonated with that feeling.
It means something. It's like they're human.
Yeah. So do you want to kind of open that can up or lead into it?
No, let's just pontificate on what we think we're going to do the whole time.
Yeah. Sounds good. That's probably what most people think we're doing anyway. No, but expand on that a little bit. What are you nervous about?
Yeah. So I think where I would like to go with this, and we have a little bit different take on like where we want to go today. So there's going to be a couple of different things that we touch on today, but they're related.
Yeah.
I saw a bit by Gary Vaynerchuk over the weekend, and he was talking about how everybody gets focused on the trophy and not the process. And that's not a new thought, right? I mean, it's enjoy the journey, not the destination, trust the process. I mean, it's on my wrist. It says trust the process on my wrist because of my brother-in-law, right? And yet, and the thesis, let me continue before I pivot there. The thesis is like, if you can enjoy the process, that's where you will find your fulfillment. That fulfillment comes from the process and the becoming, not the arriving, not the winning. And I, by nature, am obsessed with the winning. And the process is an annoying means to an end that is just what must be endured
to get to where you actually want to be.
And I don't want to live that way. Like I recognize that, and you said it when we were talking about, I'm going to steal one of your things because you said it when we were talking about, what we're talking about today. And you're like, but without the trophy to reach for, right? Without the destination, there is no process.
Yeah, totally. I think they're married.
Right? They are, Is it mutually exclusive? I don't know how. Not mutually exclusive. I always get that one messed up.
Yeah, it's all good.
I don't know.
People know what you mean. People know what you mean.
I don't know what that means. I was trying to be fancy with my words, and ultimately, it's like, yeah, they're connected, right? So here's my question for this day. How do you actually enjoy the becoming? How do you actually enjoy the process? Because I am not doing a very good job of it. And it makes the day-to-day exhausting instead of full of possibilities and creation. It's like, okay, we got to get through one more day of this. And that's not how I want to go day to day.
Yeah, that's not the spirit of it, right? Do you think if we kind of go 30,000 foot view, it might be more about certainty versus uncertainty in a way? Meaning, like, when you're set on the destination, like you are moving towards certainty. This will be my certain reality when I get there, and absolutely, I'm not going to take one step off of this until I do. Versus when you surrender the outcome, like we talked about last time.
Yeah.
It forces you to look at the process, right? More intently, because you can't really fix on the outcome, knowing that, hey, I can't necessarily control what that might look like. And so in a way, you're really accepting uncertain circumstances, right? Maybe you have controls over those things right in front of you, and maybe that's how you feel a little bit more secure. But it makes me wonder if perhaps you are striving towards certainty over uncertainty.
Well, I think human nature craves certainty.
Yeah.
We do everything to make sure that there is an element of security, understanding, peace, certainty in our day-to-day. That's something our brain craves.
There's patterns to make that happen. Yep.
Absolutely. And intellectually, I want to be clear, intellectually, I get the concept. Like, I can get there intellectually and go, absolutely, I should find fulfillment in the process. Yep, 100%. Yeah, and yet, it's like...
Everything's great in theory.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, I get this. Now I want to believe it, own it, accept it, live it.
Well, let's chunk it down. Is there any part of the process that you're currently in now that you enjoy? And I okay, good. You said yes. Yes. I was going to say, I know for a fact you've told me you love getting contracts signed. You love selling it. You love just making deals happen.
Yeah.
And so there's part of that you do like. Yeah. So maybe we latch onto that a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that is something. Yeah, I mean, right now, as I alluded to last time, I have a new play to run. And so...
which I'm excited for you for. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and maybe at some point we break that down. But for now, it's irrelevant what that play is for the context of this conversation. But when there's something new to lean into, I get juice. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, there's hope.
Yeah.
There's potential.
Right.
Of like, okay, let's see what this is. The creation of it, I can get excited about. It's once the creation or the maturity phase is more on the horizon, it's like bored.
Yeah.
And so that's partly me.
Yeah.
And so maybe that is part of it, meaning to trust the process, to stay in the process, to not be focused on the trophy. There must be a continual evolution of the process. There must be a progress to that process.
And we always know there's the point of process is growth, right? And that's a big key word for you, a big why word for you. And maybe there's ways to gamify that, right? Maybe there's ways to gamify the process for growth, right? Like just in smaller bite-sized pieces, smaller scale stuff, right? Where you're not so fixed on that big overarching goal, but then you're just like, how can I find little tiny wins within here to where I can gamify it and have fun with it?
Yeah.
What those things are, I don't know, and it would take effort and work to figure out what that could look like. But I wonder, as of now, the process has not been fun, but it doesn't mean we can't make it fun. We can't turn it into some fun somehow.
Yeah.
you know?
Your comment was when I was talking about like maybe this should be our topic for today. You were like, well, and it was based on kind of this viral clip I had seen from Gary Vaynerchuk. You're like, isn't it kind of easier to say, right?
Right.
Say that again.
Yeah, I think it's easier to look back and connect dots and realize that, oh man, there's so much joy throughout the process once you've actually either arrived at your destination and or just simply in a comfortable position in your life where you're just no longer experiencing the same discomfort and pain that you once did, right? So my point to you was, I think Gary Vaynerchuk 25 years ago would probably have a very different perspective than he does now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And my rebuttal to that was, well, isn't there always another level? Right? I mean, there would be people that would look at our lifestyle today that would be like, you guys have the trophy. You live in a beautiful area. You control your time. You have a beautiful family. You're married to beautiful people. Like, you arrived.
Yeah.
And I would think there would be a good percentage, I won't put a number on it, of the people that would look at that and go, dude, really? You're not satisfied? You're discontent? So while it's easy for us to look at Gary and go, well, yeah, come on, it's easy for him to say it. Look at all he's accomplished. He can look back and say the process is fun. It's all relative.
It makes me wonder how much of it's environmental, right? Is it innate? Is it who we are as human beings? Is it how we're wired to pursue our day-to-day lives? Or are we finally running into, 2 decades, maybe more, of being an entrepreneur, of realizing that these subconscious behaviors that we do every single day are conditioned, right?
Yeah.
We have been conditioned within a capitalist society, within the framework we were born into. Yes, we have shaped ourselves and I would argue created a lifestyle that is maximizing that reality, is maximizing that framework as best we can.
Yeah.
Can we do better? Sure, right? There's always another level within that framework to keep on moving up because someone else has done it, right? Humans are always elevating ourselves to what else someone else has done, something else someone else has done, right? It's like, I think that's where a lot of our empirical philosophies came from.
Yeah.
Right? They saw one person at the top and thought, well, if you can do it, I can do it, right? It's going to take a few mavericks to start ruffling some feathers, but eventually someone goes, I'm going to take over that ship and I'm going to be the leader, right? And over and over and over, we see this happen in human history where, anyway, I say that and I bring that up because all to say is it's just one perspective. It's just one pursuit of life. And if we talk to somebody from, I don't know, Slovenia, we could pick any country we want. My guess is their perspective would look wildly different on how they go about their day to day.
Sure.
And what their process looks like versus ours. It's not right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been trying to pivot just from a mentality standpoint is to treat it as a game, right? It's all a game.
Or even a movie. Like, treat your life like a movie. I know it sounds like you're too detached doing that, but it kind of feels that way sometimes.
We pick the soundtracks.
Yes. Yep. You are the director of your movie. You're making a movie right now.
And if it's a game, do you always have fun playing the game, or do you only have fun playing the game when you're winning the game? And I think it's a little rhetorical, but go ahead.
Yeah, I love a good comeback. So once I'm under, I that's actually when I turn up. When I realize I'm on the verge of losing something, I turn up the gas. And so I don't mind being an underdog. I've been an underdog a lot in my life, and I kind of like it. So I enjoy both, I guess, when I'm playing a game.
I don't. I enjoy the process when the process is winning. When I can see that it's getting ahead, when it's growing. If that's, you'd say whatever game that is, whether it's Monopoly or whether it's chess, whatever. Like,
so if you're losing, I'm stressed.
I'm not having fun anymore. This is no longer fun.
So do you find yourself avoiding activities or circumstances in which you will be that, you will look that way or be perceived that way, that, man, this guy is not good at this thing? And do you just avoid that? Like, I'm not going to put myself in a position. Like, for example, I brought up ice skating the other day. You're going to laugh because everyone laughed at me because ice skating really is the furthest thing from anything you'd think I'd bring up as an activity I'd want to do. It really is. I am just awkward on skates and rollerblades and all that. There's something about it. There's a balance there that I don't know if I have. But anyway, all to say is like, I'm just willing to be the fool. I'm willing to play the fool.
Yeah.
To try to have fun and maybe even try to find a lane that is enjoyable, right? And so, do you avoid that? Like, would you never walk into that scenario and just fall on your face and look like an idiot? Or are you like, no, there are times I would do that?
Not if I'm trying to compete.
Okay. Or
so
impress.
If it's a game, if we're there, if the goal is to win,
like, I'm not even gonna.
No, I'm not playing.
Sure, that's fair though. I wouldn't either, right? I certainly wouldn't be like, we're gonna do an ice skating race. Do you want to sign up? Be like, no, I have no chance in hell. So why would I even?
I have no reason to embarrass myself to that extent.
But one could argue that the process would be the practice, the preparation to get to that point to where you can, right? It's not winning that particular race, but it's the working up to it that is the most enjoyable piece. But I see what you're saying too. It's hard to realize that until you look back.
Well, and I think to be fair too, and as we've talked about kind of the game connection of it, like if I look at my last couple of years, I have not been winning. I have
from your own standard?
From my own standard.
Okay.
I have not, for me, winning is taking ground. It's not meaning that I've won. It's not arriving. Winning means, oh, I got movement.
Right.
This is working. I'm growing. I can see that I'm in pursuit of the goal, the dream, the next level. Like, progress is being made. When progress is being made, I can get behind enjoying the process. When things get stale, stagnant, not even difficult, but when with your best energies, you're no longer moving forward, that's, as I'm sure, anybody else listening would be like, well, of course, that's not fun.
Right.
And I think that might be where I've been for a big enough window that it started to become like work, a chore.
Sure.
Like this is...
It almost kind of, don't take this the wrong way, but it kind of reminds me of that dad that I told you about when his kids come up to him like, Dad, I'm bored. It's like, you're not bored, you're boring. In the same way, I do wonder if we find ourselves going like, oh, this is a slog. Is it a slog, or is that because we're choosing it to be a slog, right? In other words, like some circumstances are just unavoidable and you just got to deal with it and it's not enjoyable. I get it. But I do wonder if the process is really designed by us. Like we get to decide what we do on a daily basis. And if we're still staying in the rut of doing things we don't enjoy doing, then it ultimately is on us. And I think you know that. I think you understand that. But it does make me wonder if, and you are taking steps to move in a direction that is alternative to what you're experiencing now. So you're doing all the right things, in my opinion, in taking good, healthy next steps, because then you're also met with the question of, okay, well, I can improve these processes to make it more enjoyable, but is the overarching goal destination still relevant for me?
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm maybe resolving now that I think what Gary's saying is that target's always moving. And so if it's not even about like getting to the destination and not being fulfilled by it, I think it's just that the reality is that your priorities, you evolve, you change, you grow. And so you're going to change that target on purpose throughout your entire life. What you find extremely important right now, my guess is in 10 years, some of it might still feel that way, but some probably won't. Yeah. And you go, God, why was I so fixed on that? That's okay. You are who you are. It's your journey. You're human. You're allowed to do that and go through that. In fact, I think it's actually by design. I just listened to a gal that's married to a really, really famous investor. Anyway, she was saying that, where was I going with that? Spin off of this because I lost my train of thought. I'll get it back in a minute. But
you said it's by design. What's interesting is when you said that, what popped into my head is that when the process isn't working, it should be uncomfortable.
Maybe that, like, laziness is a sign that you shouldn't
By
shouldn't be doing that.
design, you should be going, I got to change this up. This is no longer fun.
Right.
Right? So maybe that almost should be like a trigger. Like, okay. And you could put a time frame on it, because there's always going to be a moment in which it's painful and it's uncomfortable. But it's like, this has not been fun for 6 months, for a year. Maybe it's relative for every person what that needs to be. I need to make a change. I need to change the process. I need to make this fun. I need to reinvent. I need to go create. I need to add. I need to pivot. And we use it as almost like that discomfort of no longer enjoying the process. Not because it's hard, but because we're not making progress in that process.
Wow.
Those two things connected for me, that it's like, okay, you get to choose. Time to make a change.
That's really profound, Luke. And like, as you're summarizing all of that, all I'm thinking is pain's a trigger. It's nothing more than a trigger. Right? We turn it into what we want it to be, right? A self-loathing badge of honor, whatever you want to create for yourself. Or some people, it turns into depression. It happens too often or too quickly.
I got goosebumps. Like, I think
pain's a trigger.
Like, I think
that's all it is.
Like, on some level, for me here, even in this, we're 21 minutes in, like there was a bit of a shift in that conversation for me. It's
me
like,
too.
It's like, okay, I need to reframe the pain.
Right. That it's a message. That's all it is. It's not anything to be latched onto. It's just a quick message.
But I also want to be careful to position that against, I'm not looking for comfort. Right? It's not pain and comfort as the opposite side of that. Right? It's
almost like small pivots. It's like little micro pivots. It's like pain, micro pivot, pain, micro pivot. It's not this big like pendulum swing stuff of like, oh my God, I don't get away from that. It's just, that didn't seem right. That didn't feel right. I'm just going to shift a little bit, try that. That felt right. Let's keep moving down that, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing that a little more clearly too.
So, if there's a need, no answer to this question, by the way. If there's a need to have a process change, okay, at what point should that be the trigger? It's like, okay, this has been, I'm going to put it in air quotes, painful enough, long enough, that's telling me a story that something needs to evolve here. I need to evolve. I need to change what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just, I mentioned earlier that it's probably relative for everybody. Is it relative for everybody? Or is there like, look,
yes.
if this continues to suck for 6 months, then, it's time to change.
No, it is. And it's right on par with what Gary Vee said before. And you had mentioned it in a previous podcast, that laziness is a trigger that you should be doing something very different with your life, right? Yeah. That laziness is not because you suck. Laziness is because you're just doing menial tasks that have no relevance to you and in your passions for life, right? So that's a pivot. That's a pivot moment for you. And so this, in the same way, pain are little micro pivot moments. Man, but I think it's relevant to everybody. I absolutely think, and like I said, I think a lot of people will take the circumstances and manifest it into more than it is. We all do that. I do that, right? And we turn this into like this thing, like, it's just been such a slog, and 2 years I haven't been winning, and so it become almost like an identity on top of everything, when in reality all it's telling you is we just got to make a couple micro pivots to make this more enjoyable again.
Yeah. And
it's digging in to find out where those pain points are. I don't have the solution for all this. I'm not this business magnate with all these great ideas. But I'm telling you, if you continue to ask the question, it's like, if you ask the question why 5 times, you typically get to the bottom of everything, whatever direction you're going. That came from a friend. Take it with a grain of salt, but it makes sense to me. But I think if you ask the question, what else can be done to improve this process to make it more enjoyable? If you keep asking that over and over and over again to the point where you're like, nothing, there's nothing else I can add to this to make it more enjoyable and more exciting for me to get up every day. But you have to keep asking those questions and making those changes.
I think the tough part as I look back at my last couple of years, that's kind of been a slog for me, is that I didn't know what to change. And it wasn't for a lack of effort trying.
No.
There was, and I think that's where I was like, this is not fun. This is not enjoyable. I'm not enjoying this process. Every pivot, every change, every micro change I've made has been met with resistance and no further advancement. And it was like, why am I doing this? This is, and I think that's where it becomes difficult, is when you recognize this is no longer fun. I'm not being fulfilled by this. I've made a few changes and I'm not finding that next angle, that next crack to grab and move through. Then what, right? Then it's like, now it's not just a little micro change. Now it's, maybe this is a big pivot. Maybe this is a big movement that needs to happen. Because I don't see the path forward. And that's, when you're not seeing the path forward, that's really discouraging.
Yes, but how many stories have you heard so many people say, like, same story, like, I didn't see the path forward. I had no idea I was going to get out of this, and boom, like something hit, something took off, an awakening happened, something, right? Like Elon Musk was 2 weeks away from losing Tesla. A lot of people don't know that, but he was losing. He wasn't sleeping. Like 4 nights a week, he was not sleeping. And so, yeah, it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that I will be more prepared. See how I pivoted to the your side of this?
Preparation.
I will be more prepared next time that there's pain involved, and I will. It's easy to say that intellectually, right? Like,
right.
I'm gonna be more aware that the pain is trying to tell me something. It comes back to when I sold Degree 33. It's oddly connected, kind of. I'm going to say it anyway since I brought it up. But I remember sitting with my coach at that time, and I was like, how do you know when it's time to move on? How do I know that it's the moment to sell and make a pivot?
Great question.
And he goes, well, how do you think God would communicate that to you? And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's unpack that for a second. I'd be unhappy. I would be dissatisfied. I'd be knowing in my heart that there's something more, that there's something else. He goes, isn't that what we've been talking about? And I went, yep. He goes, might be time for a pivot.
What is it about permission? What is it about permission from others? I don't know what that is, but we really hinge on it. Like, I just need someone to tell me, hey man, it's okay. You can walk away from this. You don't have to keep doing this anymore. Stop today. You can move into, it's almost like you're just waiting for that audible voice to just say, be free, right? Go, do your thing. But on the other side of that, there's some fear too, right? There's a lot of unknowns there. There
is definitely not certainty.
No.
Over
not.
There.
Yeah.
It's but it's where there's a lack of certainty, there's a bit of hope, right? There's a bit of like enthusiasm for what could be.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening to us today and you need permission, you got it.
You have it. You have it. And you know, I'm becoming more and more a believer in manifesting and absolutely feeling and believing what you want for your life, and allowing process to take over.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, and what trust the process for me means, and it can mean very different things for different people, but for me it means allow the universe, God, your higher intelligence, your consciousness, whatever you want to call it, to guide you in the direction to become that version of you want to become. I really believe that's possible for everybody, and I'm a standing, walking, talking proof of it. And I'll give you an example. And I may have shared this before, but when I was at New Vision, I was at Union Gospel Mission. It was a drug and alcohol treatment program through Seattle's Union Gospel Mission ministry programs, and it was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
But what I used to do, I took the bus everywhere, all over Seattle. It's really, really impressive bus system. But I used to go down to a really affluent area called Madison Park. And by the way, I wasn't there like, listening to Tony Robbins and Joel Osteen and all these guys pulling me up and lifting me up and speaking words of life in a way that was really inspiring. And I say that because eventually that started to influence me in a really, really big way. But at this time I used to go down, and I came up with this idea because I started taking a class called Positive Affirmations. But I started to realize how quickly that was starting to reshape my brain and the way I looked at myself, the way I looked at the world, just by simple positive affirmations to myself about myself. And really seeing the world, maybe through some rose-colored glasses, but nevertheless, it really created a lot of optimism for me. So I thought, this was all on my own, really. This was on my own. And I thought, I'm going to go down, and I'm going to walk around these neighborhoods, and I'm going to start feeling as if I already live there.
Wow.
I'm going to start believing that
just
these
came
are
in
my homes. Yes.
Up within.
Yeah. As far as I can remember. Maybe there was an influence along the way
Sure.
that I can't remember, but that's what I remember. And so I remember walking through these neighborhoods, beautiful homes, right? At that time, and this was back in 2009, 2010, so everything just took a complete poop on the world in terms of real estate valuation.
Yeah.
And so let's just say at the time, these homes were $1.5 million homes. Now today, they're probably $3.5 million, maybe less now because the market shifted. But nevertheless, at that time, it was like, for me, $1 million home was like, whoa. I mean, that is like so far out of my grasp. I remember hearing a graduate come back and speak one day, and he had 2 rental houses. And I could like mind blown by that. Like, whoa, 2 houses and you lived here 10 years ago. So then I really started seeing these things happen again. You can do it. I can do it. So I thought, man, well, if he can own 2 houses, then I can own 2 houses. No way I can't, right? It's 10 years later. I can do this.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I went down there, and it hit me like a week ago. And Brooke would tell you, my mom would tell you, she mentioned it last night. But I just stopped, and I was really grateful. I wasn't that emotional, but I was really grateful. And I was like, I dreamed about this. Like, I'm sitting here in this home on 2 acres in a beautiful neighborhood. Like, I manifested this.
Yeah.
I dreamed this to happen, and I'm living it out, right? Very much that moment of like, man, when do you finally start enjoying the destination, right?
Yeah.
And I finally did. It hit me of like, and again, that's part of this reality shift inside of me a little bit right now. Luke and I are on the side talking about a bit of a personal journey. I'll share more of that as I go, but it finally hit me. Like, whoa, dude, I have arrived, right? I have arrived in ways. Maybe there's a new manifestation to push me to the next journey or the next, destination. But I've absolutely created a lifestyle I dreamed about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Thought maybe possible, maybe not. I don't know. But it is, and I'm living it out. And I think that can be true for every single person on earth. Look, yes, I'm a white male in America. I'm not blind to that. I understand the privileges that come with that.
Yeah.
Don't love that, but that's the truth. That's the reality we're living in. But I was at the bottom of society. Like, I don't think there's another house on the block that you'd want to go to at the end of the line than that one. And again, I'm not using that as a badge of honor. I have for a long time. I'm actually starting to slowly pull back from that. I think it's an important part of how I've grown as a human being.
You bet.
But I don't identify with it as I once did.
Right.
And so, but I do always want to use that as a story of triumph, that you can, if you set your mind and you set your heart on it, I promise you will get there eventually. And I actually think I landed there 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It took me this long to realize it, I guess, but yeah.
What do you say to an individual that's been, I'll just create a scenario. You got someone that's been in a career for a decade. I guess it doesn't matter how long, but a decade seems reasonable. And they hate it. They are not enjoying the process anymore. Whether that's they've been passed over a couple times for a promotion, they're at the top of their ladder, and they're like, this is my lot in life, and they're unhappy, and they're hearing this and going, yeah, but this is all I know. I've done it for a decade or 2 or 3. Like, I can't pivot away from something like this. I've invested so much time and energy into this. Like, okay, it sounds great, guys. Like, yay for you. You can move away. You can pivot. You can do things. You can sell your company. You can reinvent yourself. But I don't have any other skill sets. This is all I've done.
Yeah, I'd say the changes that we have both gone through are not without pain and discomfort and everything else in between there. So yeah, it all sounds great on the surface, but there's underlying work and grind and other things that we've had to do to position ourselves to enjoy those things too.
Yeah.
So I don't want to create this facade or this false notion that you start doing these things and it's just pie in the sky, because that's not true either. You get to enjoy a lifestyle shift, but you have to understand that those come with some of their own challenges also. You're just more willing to take them on because they're a part of the process to get to where you want to go. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like pain points as much as sitting in a cubicle every day and realizing, I want none of this.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to share a story. I've shared it before, but I remember talking to my counselor when I was at New Vision, and there was a lot of turnover going on. There was a lot of relapses happening within the house. People going back out and using heroin and crack or whatever else. And I asked him the question. I said, what's the difference? What is the difference between someone like me that is sitting here and continuing to move forward and somebody that just says, F it, I'm out of here, right? I'm going to go use again and all that. And his answer was very simple. He said, micro choices. And I think it boils down to that. I think it boils down to you making I'd call them subconscious choices that have been so hardwired inside of you that you actually believe that is your reality and you'll never escape it. You've got to start, what's the word I'm looking for? Deconstructing that hardwired subconscious so that you can lift that veil and realize that you're in a fog right now. You're stuck in a trance. You're in the rat race. You're going after it day in, day out. I'm still there to some degree too. I'm not saying I'm not.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself with very little choice in your life, it's because you've ignored the micro choices that actually control the bigger rocks in your life, right? And so it's about making those little, like, for example, man, I've been passed up twice for promotion. Stand up and frickin' say something about it.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Right? You're allowing that to happen because you're stuck in your trance.
Yeah.
Right? That would be my answer. And it may be aggressive, but.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to become the person that doesn't get passed over.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yep.
If the people that are getting the promotions you don't want to become, then why are you after that promotion?
Right.
Like, time to switch.
And a lot of people are nervous about this, and I get it, but it's the, hey boss, yeah, I noticed you promoted somebody, and I really feel like it should have been me. They're so scared to say that, and I get it. You could hear the nerves in my voice. I understand you're avoiding that, but that's not that hard.
Yeah,
it really isn't. You walk away from that going, what? Why did I create that barrier?
Yeah,
that wasn't so hard.
Use it as a learning moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I got passed over for this one. How come?
Yep.
Like, what do I need to show you? Who do I need to become? God, Devin, my buddy's got a great line. He says, become what is required.
That's in line with what I shared with you the other week, right? Your higher intelligence does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being.
Yep.
Become it.
What is required.
Wow. I like that a lot. That is a really, really good statement.
Mm-hmm.
Super powerful.
So how does this connect then for you with the preparation side? Because this was going to be process and preparation, and we're now nearly 40 minutes in.
Yeah, so I was sharing with Luke that, I'll quickly summarize and cap this. And I think they're congruent. I think process and preparation can go hand in hand. I don't think they always have to go hand in hand. But for me, in some ways I've thrived by winging it. I've thrived by just flying by the seat of my pants. I think it's really created a really strong improvisational
Sure.
aspect of my personality. But nevertheless, I'm just feeling a strong pull to prepare right now. I'm feeling a strong pull to really put emphasis on preparedness. For example, I kind of pride myself on I do my best to win people over when I'm on listing appointments or meeting new clients in real estate. But I've never prepared for a listing appointment ever. I've never sat there and gone through the entire presentation, how I do it, why I do it certain ways. I very much go with the flow, go with what feels right, do my best. Because I do know that, especially in sales, relationships are everything. 98% of the deal is making the relationship, right?
Right.
2% is the technical details that come with that relationship.
They got to like you.
Yeah. And you got to work on that more than anything. So I understand that really well. But nevertheless, I know that proof is in the pudding. If you prepare well, you win more. You just do. And so there's that's a small example, but I just want to be more prepared, right? In my life, we talked about, I know this is we're not going to go down the prepper conversation route, but in terms of just survival preparedness, and just understanding that, we're in a really unique time of human civilization. And I think being prepared and understanding that things could get hard in certain times, certain seasons, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm not there yet, and I need to be. And I feel that sense of responsibility on my shoulders, and I'm oddly calm about that. I'm not worried about it, but I feel an importance on that big time.
Well, it's part of the process should be preparation.
Right.
And that's how they connect.
Right.
And preparation right now looks very different than maybe what it's looked like a decade ago.
Right.
I mean, if you just zoom out, let's just zoom out for a second and we look at macro global economics. We can look at political unrest here and abroad.
Yep.
We can look at the global earth changes,
economic instability. I mean,
and geologic, with rising temperatures, and you can label it whatever you want. The Earth is changing.
How about cosmic?
Right.
There's other issues outside of
there are significant things going on right now that are unprecedented in their nature across the board, at least as far as our window of understanding and existence.
Right.
And so, how do you prepare for all that? I'm not sure that's an easy answer, but at least becoming aware of the changes and looking for opportunities to, put a chip in your column.
Yeah.
What can I do to make sure that I hedge my bets economically? What can I do to make sure that, this company I'm working for, if they go under, then what? Right? Like, I think as a society, certainly within the U.S., I was going to say as a human race, but as certainly here within the United States, we need to be very malleable to what's coming.
Yeah, and modest.
And just go, I am detached from the outcome, from the objective, from this company, from this career path. Like, at any point, let's just be honest, things are not what they seem.
No.
And I think we all sense it. It's really hard to articulate it, but the energy right now, and I'm seeing this across multiple clients on my end, like, everybody's kind of going, I don't know what's coming, but I got to sense something's coming.
Yeah, like waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, and so through this preparation, through this process, preparing for shifts and changes and pain and pivoting to other things, even if that's just mentally preparing, it's part of it.
Yeah, you're right. And emotionally preparing in the sense of right now for me, I'm doing a better and better job of preparing myself on a daily basis to stay emotionally neutral, right? And and I'm not saying numb your feelings. That's not it at all.
Right.
I'm just saying understand that there's so much within our control and so much or outside of our control, and you have to. I think you have to stay neutral to be able to make sound decisions, especially
Yes.
in emergent times. I think you really have. Those are the ones that thrive. Those are the ones that help society, are the ones that stay calm and neutral through really tough situations. And I want to train myself to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to continue saying like, oh, I'm just an emotional guy and I'm reactive sometimes. And okay, I was, but I don't have to keep being that way.
Yeah.
Right. I want to become that. For me, preparedness and becoming are parallel.
Yeah, it's a fine line between detachment, being emotionally numb, and not letting your emotions rule the day.
Right.
That is a very fine line. And I was raised in an environment where emotional stability was valued. Okay. Now, there's nothing wrong with emotional stability. Like, that's healthy.
That's how you define emotional intelligence, really.
Yeah, that's healthy. I think the way I assimilated it, though, at an early age was to mean that there was no emotion.
You don't get to feel.
No.
Oh, you have feelings? You better.
Yeah, and so it's not that they were like disregarded. It's that they were never displayed in a healthy way.
Sure.
So it wasn't like I understood what healthy enthusiasm looked like, what healthy disappointment and grieving looks like, what healthy anger looks like. It was that we're neutral. And so I never had the opportunity to really get in touch with what that meant. And even to this day, I sometimes have an awkward response to enthusiasm. Like I don't really know what that looks like and how that feels, right? And I sometimes have a hard time celebrating and enjoying the moment because enthusiasm escapes me a little bit.
Sure.
And so being emotionally stable, though, is important. Being detached and numb is dangerous.
Psychotic. I mean, arguably.
Well, sure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you start detaching yourself from just empathy and those sorts of feelings. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm starting to learn more and more about Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism in general.
Sure.
And but he's wildly empathetic. You
Yeah.
know, when you really, I haven't read the Confessions or Meditations. Meditations is what they're called. But he's wildly empathetic. In fact, I think empathy is what guides his entire existence to some degree. Otherwise, he would have succumbed to all of the desires he could possibly want. I mean, he was at the peak of
It was the pinnacle.
power, and he chose otherwise. And,
Yeah.
and so, anyway, for me, just to kind of put a bow on it is, for me, preparedness is process in this next season of life. What that looks like exactly, I don't know yet.
That is the process for you.
Yeah.
Is being prepared.
Is just
becoming prepared.
Becoming prepared and becoming a prepared person and getting myself to a place again, because once I master something, I want to teach others how to do it. So get to a place where I can help others do the same and just be ready, right? Not necessarily be paranoid and, freak out about certain things but I think urgency is important right now. I don't think we need to be emergent, but I think urgency is important.
Yeah. This has been super helpful. I feel like I have made a couple of shifts
It's been some awesome things said today.
in the way I view process, in the way I view the dissatisfaction in that.
What if your specialty became going side by side? Well, you'll have a lot of specialties, but side by side with companies to take boring processes and gamify them to make them fun.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of like your way to go, yeah, that does suck. Let me tell you how to tune that up. I would be bored as hell doing that every day.
Sure,
So
sure.
We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Thanks. This has been processing this. This was a good one for me. This was real life, like coming to a different understanding after a 50-minute conversation of, okay, I can see now a little bit. Maybe I'm not fully there yet, right? But
right.
I see like the door got cracked.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of light coming through, and I'm going, okay, I need to push on that a little bit and see where that goes. So this was helpful for me. Thank you.
Likewise. And honestly, like, I feel like, man, that becoming quote really is going to stick with me. You could even redefine processing purpose as becoming. I mean, that's what we're really doing. You and I are on a journey of becoming.
Become what is required.
That's right. I like it. Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining me.
Yep.
Love you.
Likewise. Love you, dude. Thank you for tuning in to Processing Purpose. We hope you grabbed a few gold nuggets to take one step forward in your journey of life and business. Please remember to like and subscribe our channel if you'd like to get more content to help you build and grow everything around you. Make today your best day. Today is day one.